In this video, I'm going to teach you how to complete an ABN form for a patient receiving outpatient therapy services. So first of all, you're going to put the patient's name on the form in the top left corner, both the first name and their last name. If on their Medicare card they have a middle initial, you want to include the middle initial as well. For identification number, this is optional. What the identification number cannot be, it cannot be the Medicare beneficiary's Medicare card number. It can also not be their social security number. So many times this identification number is their account number with your practice organization. Maybe it's their medical record number that you have with an organization, or maybe it's just a number generated by your billing software. But again, the identification number cannot be the Medicare beneficiary's Medicare number or social security number. Notifier name is the name of your practice, the name of your organization. Notifier address is your address, and then a phone number. In the next box where you see it says item, test, service, or care, this is where you're going to document the item or service you are going to provide that you believe the Medicare program will not reimburse for. So it could be iontophoresis as an example. Maybe it's canth repositioning, CPT code 95992. If the patient does not have a payable diagnosis for that CPT code per your Medicare contractor. Also keep in mind, outpatient therapy services are what we call a repetitive service. That patient comes 1, 2, 3 times a week for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. So let's use iontophoresis as an example. You've listed that in this box, but this patient's going to come 2 times a week for 4 weeks. So if you're going to do ionto all 8 visits, not only do you list iontophoresis, but you would put the frequency and duration as 2 times per week for 4 weeks. So in this example, that ABN then will cover you for 8 visits of iontophoresis. In the next box, reason you expect Medicare may not pay. Well, for iontophoresis, perhaps your Medicare contractor considers it investigational, experimental. For canth repositioning, CPT code 95992. Maybe Medicare, does not pay for the CPT code for your diagnosis. Maybe in that previous section, you've listed, therapeutic exercise, manual therapy, therapeutic activity. Now, the reason why Medicare won't pay in your expectation is the patient's also receiving home health services at the same time that they're coming to see you for outpatient therapy services. In the next box, you see it says estimated cost. So again, using iontophoresis, you may put down, $35 each visit you have iontophoresis. If you expect the entire visit not to be paid for by the Medicare program, maybe you say $150 each visit. Now the next section is where the patient will choose one of the 3 options. If the patient selects option number 1, they're saying that they still want the service you expect the Medicare program to deny, but they still want you to submit the claim to Medicare. So that item that is listed, you still put that CPT code on the claim form, submit it to your Medicare administrative contractor. And besides the GP modifier, it was done under a PT plan of care. The GO modifier, it was done under an OT plan of care. Or the GN modifier, it was done under a speech language pathology plan of care. You would also append the GA modifier to that CPT code on the claim form. The GA modifier would notify your Medicare administrative contractor that you expect them to deny this service, and you've had the patient sign an ABN. So when this service is then denied, the Medicare administrative contractor makes that patient responsibility. If they choose option number 2, they still say they want the service or item or items that you expect Medicare not to pay for, and they believe you. They believe you that Medicare will not reimburse for those services, and you don't have to bill that CPT code or codes on the claim form. Now, if the patient selects option number 1 or option number 2, you can collect your fee, the cost you listed at the time of service. However, if the Medicare program ends up reimbursing you for services you thought they were not going to reimburse you for, you must refund the patient what they paid minus any cost sharing responsibility or deductible responsibility. If the patient selects option number 3, they're saying they don't want the service and I'm not going to pay you for it. Well, in my opinion, if they select option number 3, don't give them the service, because the patient is telling you they're not going to pay for it and you expect the Medicare program not to pay for it. So you're giving the patient a choice. They choose not to have that service, that item. Below that, you see additional information. So if there's extra information you want to include on the ABN, that is where you would put it. And then either the patient or their representative would then sign and date this ABN. You want to then make a copy of this ABN form, provide a copy to the patient, and keep the original in the patient's chart. For much more information on the ABN, be sure to click the link below.